Good morning or afternoon, everybody, wherever you are. Welcome to our Link to the Past Randomizer SG Live tournament. We are in day 3 of this tournament at this point. The group stage is continuing here. I am JP, and I will be doing the commentary today. Also have Totes Olive on tracking here. He'll be tracking everything we find. Yeah, this is a matchup of two players who are 1-1. This group has actually been pretty interesting. I will say that as part of the group. But basically, here's the standings. We've got Ninban done at 2-2. Everybody else is 1-1. So, what's on the line here? The winner of this game guarantees themselves, at worst, a tiebreaker game for the brackets, and can outright get to the bracket with a win in their last game. The loser is not out. They can still force a tiebreaker by winning their next game. So, plenty on the line here. Both these runners want to win and just get themselves to the bracket outright. So we'll see who can put themselves in that favorable 2-1 record going into the brackets. Or actually going into the last game, sorry. We should be underway momentarily as we are waiting for the 20-minute delay to catch up here. We have Files using the Zelda sprite, and Hayfield is using the Mega Man sprite. I think to be exact, that's Mega Man X. So always interesting to. I just noticed actually Hayfield's got his cursor hover over delete. I hope that's not intentional. But it'll be always interesting to see how these routers start the seed. Where do they decide to go? Will they take a Uncle route? Will they go through Sanctuary? Or will they take a newer route that's starting and they'll go straight over to Saharsala? Seeing all three of those options. Here we go. And we got bombs as both of them start in Link's house. And they're both going to Saharsala. Interesting. This is a very interesting start to see them both. Oh, actually, no, Hayfield's going south. And that's a hook shot on the floating island. We'll need flippers and a mirror to get that. There's our map check. All crystals in the light world. We have a red crystal 5-6 at Desert Palace. And get our info in Green Pendant at Skull Woods. In Saw's closet, 10 arrows, piece of heart, and the key to Samaria. Okay. Not the greatest start from there, but Kane you'll take. You probably will need that later. Piece of heart and Sanctuary. Both of them have bombs, at least, for the CAC start now. And they're going to start to see a check of the Bonk Rocks. Oh, Files is going to pick up that magic. Good pickup there. Now, with the boots in the with the boots start, the boots are considered in logic from the start, so they're considered a Sphere 0 item now. So I mean that means anything the boots open up, which actually by themselves you only have the Bonk Rocks, but boots are in logic completely for the seed. You're going to tree pull, just some arrows. Both are going to check Lumberjack, since with boots, you could get that. Bush Crab also has full heart plus full magic. And nothing at Saharsala, just a red rupee. That was not Saharsala, that was Lumberjack. So we're going into Lost Woods. Heart container, Files will take that. Early you're going to grab those. Like, the 3 hearts, there's no way you're turning that down. And there's some nice money for Kakariko. So now we're heading in for the Kakariko checks. 3 bombs is enough to check everything, and they've got money to buy bombs afterwards if they want. Alright, what do we got in here? First 4 chests in Blind's Hut. We've got some flippers, bombs, a boomerang, and red rupees. And just a heart container in the back. Alright, so into the well we go. Just a piece of heart to start. And there's a flute. A single rupee, red boomerang, and bottle. And there's the glove. So this is actually a pretty good Kakariko so far. Glove, flippers, flutes. That's pretty nice. Oh, and we also got a bottle. Hayfield cashed that in for 100 rupees. Alright, heading into the chicken hut. It's another 20 rupees. Can also check the sick kit here. And just some bombs. And I got some half magic in the back of the tavern. Alright, so I got a couple more checks. I did miss one location. This is also unlocked by the boots. Just another bottle, though. And there's our moon pearl. Okay, so quite a bit in this Kakariko. Okay, so a lot of people, I guess, got some ads. So let's just get the basic recap: is Kakariko had everything. They had the gloves, they had the flippers, they had the flutes. KSMR actually came from Saharsala. That they both checked that. Now we're gonna see a little divergence as Files heads to the back of Escape, and Hayfield's gonna go South Shore. Let's see what we got in the back of Escape. We got 3 bombs, 50 rupees, and a map. Can't go to Dark Cross, no small key. And Files is going to go to escape as Hayfield continues his South Shore checks. There's 20 rupees on Uncle. Hayfield's going to use some Samaria strats to get through the Mold Worms. Another 300 rupees. There's Zora money. And then we got the shield, 20 rupees. Bombs, 20 rupees. And 10 arrows. And I think Hayfield's also going to go check back of escape as Files goes to the front. And there's a small key. That means there's something in Dark Cross since we've now seen the small key and the map. So we're actually starting to run out of options here. We need to find something. Oh, that guard bullied Files a little bit more money. I think we've got Hayfield going up Death Mountain. We won't see what Hayfield's doing until he's out of this cave. Meanwhile, Files going for the Zelda Cell chest. And yep, there's Hayfield with the old man in tow. And that would have been our boots. That's what the green 20 means. You can see Files wanted to go for Dark Cross, but he knows it's not a good idea. Now we got Files going to the South Shores. Hayfield's checking Ice Rod Cave. So what is our next item? What is our next piece of progression? We've seen Hookshot, but that is Dark World Access plus Mirror Locked still. So they can't get that. They're either going to find the hammer, the second glove, or they're going to find something that points in another direction. Maybe even the mirror. Hayfield's doing a little bit of a glitch, doing a water walk here. But even though he's using a glitch to do this is in logic because he has flippers. And Files is going to use B strats combined with Samaria strats. That is a tag team right there. Files and the B. And I think Chad has decided Files has won this first round of the match. But he has not won overall yet. Still have a lot to play out. Hayfield, I believe he just got a red potion from the waterfall. It'll be useful for him later. Just some rupees on the Zora ledge. Hayfield does have enough rupees to get the Zora item. With us running low on spots, you know, there's a good chance Zora's got something. And Zora has a piece of heart. So at this point, I think we're down to Agina, Spectacle Rock, and the 3 chests, or up to 3 items in Eastern. Files forgot that if you walk in shallow water with flippers, you lose your water walk. You could see him regret that. But he now has the info that the hook shot is on the island there. So both these runners are just retracing each other's steps for now. I think they're both desperately trying to avoid Eastern, yet that might be where they have to go. Oh, Files has to be very careful. He's down to half a heart. you could see his frustration with that crab. Crabs are the most annoying Light World enemy just because they're the only enemy in the Light World that does 2 hearts of damage in Green Mail. Okay, chat corrects me. It's the Dead Rock. Okay, the crabs are the most damaging enemy in the Light Worlds. Alright, where are you going, Files? He's gonna go up Death Mountain, gonna save the old man as well. Once he's saved the old man and Hayfield's gotten this chest, these 2 runners will be about even in terms of checks. This Hayfield does some Mario strats on the guard. Might be technically slower, but gets it done. And he's going to take the Death Warp as Files falls in the Dark Cave. So Hayfield is going to go for this Dark Cross item that Files skipped. Whatever it is, it's not in logic yet. But, you know, if it's something good, that's advantage Hayfield early. And Dead Rocked. Okay, there you go, chat. There's your worst enemy. Oh, okay. Chat correcting me. It wasn't that Files wanted to skip it. He just got a badly timed health refill, which, yeah, that sucks. Oh, there's the lamp, and there's the book in Dark Cross. That might be our intended progression. Alright, so that opens up Desert, and with that lamp, that's full clear. Well, here's the thing. Hayfield hasn't got that lamp yet, so if the If there's an item in desert, it's on land mode. He can't get it. But if there's an item on land mode, these runners are going to be cursing it. Hayfield's going to climb the mountain now, finds this lamp, and yeah, we'll see his reaction. And you can tell Files is just shaking his head. He knows that he wanted to get this, he couldn't, and he's going to be a little disappointed in a second. Yep, there's there's the reaction. So now, what is the play? You're gonna follow the book? Yep, you're gonna follow the book. So the seed has given us everything for desert early. We have a glove, we have a lamp, we have boots, and we have a book. So 2 items in deserts, plus the ledge. I don't know if we probably saw the ledge, we just didn't notice it. But yeah, without a weapon, this is a bit rough, and Hayfield's gonna go pick up some more bombs because he's thinking he's gonna have to fight Landmo. We've seen the we got Files checking out. We got Files checking out desert still. So far, not much. Is it gonna be a Landmo fight? Are these runners gonna have to fight Landmo low percent with no sword? Actually, no. That was a single arrow, so that's both items. And is Files gonna go for the boss anyway? I believe we saw both items. This is an interesting play if he's gonna take the boss out. So, our item is an Eastern. It's been an Eastern this whole time. This is an interesting call for Files, though, just because... I mean, you've got so little to take this out right now. This... I mean, you have to do it regardless, but... I mean... It's just a really interesting call to do this. And he just realized... I think he realized he's got 2 items. He doesn't have to do this right now. So now, because of that, Hayfield's taking the lead. And now the question is, there's our Dark World access. All those checks and Dark World access is always in Eastern. And just watching these runners so far, you can just kind of see a difference between them. Hayfield's a bit more stoic, and Files is more expressive. Now, I'm sure these runners both feel behind finding Dark World access in Eastern, but honestly, they're pretty close still. So that's all 3 items in Eastern. Just those gloves. But there's our Dark World access. And so Hayfield's going to start our Dark World trip in the Meyer area. And we need Bombos for Meyer. Getting our map check. Pendant, Skullwoods, Thieves Town, and Swamp, with Skullwoods our green pendant, and it looks like our other red crystal is Palace of Darkness. There's the mirror. With that mirror, Hayfield can now get the hook shot as well. We did see Bombos on the Meyer entrance, so the runners will need that. The runners need quite a bit. This is actually, I mean, after the Kakariko to start, they've been, the seed's been a little stingy. And even now, they don't have a crystal dungeon they can full clear. There's an Ether Medallion. Yeah. Hayfield making that stop in Meyer to grab that mirror is going to be advantageous to him because he's going to be able to route Dark World a little nicer now. Check on the bumper ledge. Behind the cape is a piece of hearts. They do not need that. And we have confirmed some use for the mirror, and that is to pick up the hook shot. Hayfield finds the big key in the middle chest. Yeah, right now these runners are just looking for something. Eastern, they need a bow to complete. They could go complete Desert, but with their loadout, they don't really want to do that, as Files find some powder. Can't get to Hera. Need bow and hammer for Pod. Need a hammer, really, for Swamp. Skullwoods to the Fire Rod. You could... Thieves Town is clearable with what they've got. Samaria is a weapon you can use on blind. And Hayfield, unfortunately, doesn't get his bomb jump. He has to take a death. Yeah, looking through the other dungeons. Can't access ice. Can't get into Mire or Turtle Rock. Right now, Thieves Town is the only dungeon you can really clear. And unless you find a sword or a hammer in the front of Thieves Town, you're looking at a Samaria blind fight. Which... Files wanted the death warp. Nope. Game denies him. Yeah, Files is not gonna go for the back. Well, there's a bow. Can clear Eastern now, but we've already seen all 3 items in Eastern. So I don't think Files saw. I think he only got 2. Well, Hayfield is going the north route. He is going to check Graveyard Ledge. If this mirror yields anything for Hayfield, he takes a bigger and bigger advantage. And there, okay, a mushroom. I'm thinking these quick little messages in chat are something from File's stream. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with those. Here's another check we haven't seen, King's Tomb. Files does have access to this. That's just a red rupee. Looks like Files is going to check Hive Cave, then he's probably going to grab that hook shot and go back up Death Mountain, if I were to guess. Got some bombs, piece of hearts. Hey, there's our first sword. I think you'll take that out of that Hive Cave. 30 minutes in, you finally have a sword. I think that's a good enough Hive Cave. Oh, that's right, Files cannot get this hookshot. I forgot, he doesn't have mirror. So Files is going for... Looks like Files is probably going to go to Pod. He's going to take a fairy refill here. Meanwhile, Hayfield is going into Thieves Town. Let's see if he makes the same decision to duck out after the first 4. Chat wanting fake powder. We don't have to worry about fake powder because we have real powder. Just a single rupee on the pyramid. Where will Files go? He's going to go to Pod. So with the bow, Files can get pretty much everything in Pod except for whatever's on Helmasaur. He'll need the hammer to get there. Hayfield also does duck out after the first 4 of Thieves Town. Alright, so Files is heading into Pod. So far this was not a bow-locked pod. Well, here's another check that Hayfield can check. And just 10 arrows. For Files right now, the best thing he potentially could find in here is probably the hammer. If he found the hammer in Pod, might give him a little bit of a boost. Well, that does confirm this is a bow-locked pod. You can get to the front door without the bow, but the back is locked behind the bow. There will be 2 keys on the right, and Files will have to attempt another death warp because he does not have a hammer or a mirror. At least this time he knows he will not get a health refill. Hayfield's picked up his sword from Pipe Cave. And Files gets a successful death warp. Hayfield is picking up that hook shot. That's the big advantage right now with the mirror and the hook shot. Hayfield could check more. But we're going to see if that mushroom we picked off from Graveyard Ledge is going to be anything. Nope, just a bottle. Meanwhile, without the mirror, he's got Files is going to set up for a hammer jump here. This will just let him route easier as he finds Quake. Just makes sense so he doesn't have to set up another death warp in here. But Hayfield's going to give us a look into Death Mountain. There's Nice Rod. We will need that for later. There's a Master Sword. I think that's all Files is going to find in here. Because the next 2 chests, I believe, both have to be small keys. Yep, Files is out. Hayfield picks up some blue mail. So where's Files gonna go? He needs to go to the Mire area to grab that mirror. He's gonna check King's Tomb first, though. Got a piece of heart in the floating islands. Without the hammer, you can't go that way, Hayfield. You can get to Hera, but you gotta go the mirror route. So what is File's plan? He's going to Meyer. He'll get his mirror. Unfortunately, the bad thing about this routing is since he doesn't have a hammer yet, he will have to... He'll have to run all the way around the Dark World to get his hook shot. I think Files was hoping he could go into Meyer, but nope. Does not have... That's the one medallion he doesn't have. Alright, so we got Super Bunny Cave coming up on Hayfield's side. 10 arrows. And a red rupee. Gonna check on our Turtle Rock requirement, which is Ether. We do have that. In Hookshot Cave, got some arrows, rupees. And there's our bombos in Hookshot Cave. So Mirror, you have to go to the Meyer area to get the hookshot, so you can come back and get your bombos. Meanwhile, Nimban, or not, Nimban's talking in chat. Files is doing another check that we have not seen Hayfield do, and he's doing the Smith checking. I completely missed his ether check there. Unfortunately, by checking this, Files is going to be giving up his portal. But hey, if this is Hammer, good check for Files. Nope, just a heart container. Hayfield is going to do the basement, not electing the Harapot. So Hayfield gets a small break as Files finds bombs in the purple chest, and he's getting a little frustrated. Yeah, for Files, he pretty much has to go run over and get that hook shot from the island. So there's the big key in the basement. Now, now he's going to Harapot. So if the big chest has something, that's a big advantage to Hayfield, but if it doesn't have anything, Files can make a little time up here. Alright, so will this pickup of the big key pay off for Hayfield? Nope. He'll at least have peace of mind that he knows he got both items in here, which are both nothing. Files will grab his hook shot. And Files will begin his Death Mountain checks as Hayfield is taking on Moldorm. Only fighter swords, so you gotta do 6 slashes or spins. Or pokes. I'll work. I'll do the same. And I do have a co-com now joining me here. We have Clearmouse joining in the booth. How are you doing today?
Hey, JP. Great. I'm doing well. Yeah, really glad to be able to join you for the rest of this race. Actually sounded pretty exciting at the beginning.
Yep. This has been a pretty good race so far.
I actually got to watch some bits and pieces earlier. There have been some great reactions here, I think, by Files. Always really great to see the reactions of the runners.
Yep, Files has been pretty expressive. Hayfield has not really shown much. Chad is trying to theorize why, but we won't focus on that. To Meyer with that bomb boost he picked up in Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, I also noticed that we're about, 45 minutes in, and thanks to our great tracker, we've only gotten 1 crystal out of both these runners.
That's correct. This seed has not been friendly towards dungeon progression. They have full cleared Eastern and Deserts, so they can go back at any time and finish those. But beyond that, there's not much else they can do, unless they want to go clear Pendant Thieves Town.
Oh yeah, because if that's something that anybody wants to do in this seed is to go clear Pendant Thieves Town. After what sounds like they've basically gotten everything out of the Crystal Dungeons already, but they couldn't actually end up being the boss.
Yep, pretty much. Well, they could have beaten Desert, but they both elected not to because it would have been a pretty ugly Land Mola.
Yeah, I actually did catch the time when Files, I believe, tried to be very brave and do a Can of Samaria Lambo, but then probably realized halfway through that he didn't actually have to do that.
Files gets his first crystal. Also gets the bad news that the other item is in the big chest.
Oh, so this is actually an instance where Harapot probably would not have been beneficial, or as beneficial?
Yep, but we do know on Hayfield's side it was nothing. And Files leaving this behind will be fine. So that'll actually give Files a little time back. Assuming he never comes back here. Interesting jump there by Files too. He nailed that little spot between the rocks.
Alright, so did we actually see any progression being made here on Dark Death Mountain on Hayfield's side?
We saw Bombos. That was it, though. And there's Fire Rod.
Alright, yeah, okay. Fire Rod looks like a good piece of progression. Firelock Fire is always good to see.
The classic Fire Rod behind Bombos. Though we usually don't see it in that way. Yeah, we did see Ice Rod up here too. I forgot about that.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. So okay. So that is the case then. We had Bombos locking fire, which also was locked by the lamp. Okay.
We still have one more item in Meyer to find. TR is not in Logic quite yet. We still need a hammer for Turtle Rock.
Wow, they have so much progression and amazingly no hammer. And they're still for some reason on Master Sword and no silver arrows.
In fact, we could be at a hammer go mode. I think we're at hammer go mode right now.
Oh, because we already know both medallions. Oh, that's actually really nice. Hammer go mode is actually one of the nicest parts about this game. I mean, like, one of the best parts is probably Miss go mode or hammer go mode because the hammer locks so much.
That is true. It'll be a nicer go mode for them. The question is just, where is that hammer?
And of course, unfortunately, with also hammer go mode means that you don't have the hammer, which means that if you want to maneuver around Dark Road, it's a little bit more cumbersome. Because, for example, you can't hammer down the pegs from that bridge, so you kind of have to go like all the way around if you're starting from the pyramid or like Village of Outcasts.
Yeah, Files has already experienced a little bit of that, having to run around the Dark Road a couple times. At this point, we are running out of spots for that hammer to be. I don't know what else we've got pendant dungeons, actually. We've got still stuff in Skull Woods. I think there's an item in the back of Skull Woods, as well as items still in Thieves Town.
Okay. Has either runner done the back of Thieves Town yet?
Nope, both runners did the front and left.
Okay. Well, so I guess the nice thing about Hammer Go mode for Thieves Town is that you don't have to now worry about leaving the big chest behind, because that big chest should be hammer locked.
Yep, exactly. So you can do that safely now.
I guess that is the one silver lining about Pendant Thieves Town that we could probably hope for in this seed.
So we'll see as Hayfield clears Mire what his next play will be. Though he's got a Vitreous fight coming up that's not going to be too friendly, especially since he only has a fighter sword.
I was actually just going to notice here, at least Files has the Master Sword, but Hayfield is only on fighter sword. Oh man.
Yeah.
And heal. Yeah.
I believe Files found that in the back of Pod.
Okay, so I guess that means that Hayfield hasn't quite been there yet. Yeah,
this
is gonna be kind of a challenging fight here for Hayfield.
He's got Burna, but with Burna he cannot spin, which is the only way you can damage it with Fighter Sword.
Yeah, so I did manage to see that Hayfield did pick up a bomb upgrade from the upgrade fairy before he came here, which is certainly for something like Vitreous. The more bombs you can carry is really nice to kind of soften these eyeballs up a bit.
Yeah, he actually picked that up prepping for a Landmo fight, but never used it there.
Alright. Files had a really nice Mire 2 room there. He, I believe, really actually enjoys seeing that room done by other people, and that room is actually quite a nice indicator of how well practiced you are at this game, because a lot of people like to do this room. But he did a really nice job. Hayfield is here making really nice progress with his fighter sword. Wants to make sure that he wants to save most likely 8 arrows for the big eyeball.
Yep, but since he's only at 12 arrows, he couldn't use any arrows on those eyeballs. But now that you can use the 8 arrows for the main eyeball. And I think this will be the second item. Maybe not. Okay, maybe we saw the second.
That was a really nice Vitreous fight there. Fighter sword with only the bow and bombs basically to help you out. Hayfield did a really, really nice job. Yep. And he didn't die. That's also very important. That
is very true. So, what will Hayfield's next option be? He's going to include Land Molas while he's here. With Fire Rod, Land Molas is pretty easy, so might as well do that.
Oh yeah, Fire Rod and Half Magic? Yeah, forget any kind of sword. We don't need any of those. We can just spam that Fire Rod to our heart's content.
Let's see File's reaction as he picks up this Fire Rod behind a Bombos medallion.
Okay, he seems reasonably satisfied with that. It's just a piece of progression, no big deal.
Yeah, it doesn't do a lot for him right now, except for... Well, it does open up Ice Palace. Well, we had Ice Palace actually to Bombos, but... Oh, that's another ugly possibility. We could have a hammer in Ice Palace.
Now, would you rather go to Pendant Thieves Town, or would you rather go to Hammerless Ice Palace? That's a crystal.
We're basically at that point right now. These runners are going to have to make a terrible decision. What do you want to do?
You know, it kind of sounds like these runners had to make a lot of terrible decisions up till this point. So maybe, you know, one more kind of, you know, won't hurt too badly. And, you know, as...
So go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna, you know, as we're kind of speculating about what these guys are going to do next, Hayfield just took down Landmola's, like, super fast with that fire rod. I don't think he missed a single shot, though. He's now claimed his 3rd crystal.
Yeah. My expectation, I think I agree with chat, is Hayfield's going to go for pod. Because if you can find a hammer and pod, then you don't have to touch any... Oh, I'm wrong.
Alright, maybe, yeah, maybe he is interested in chasing down this fire rod, or maybe he's
You're
gonna
gonna grab the green pendant from Skullwoods and then go for pod. Because, or maybe not. What is your plan here? Oh, he's gonna do Smith Chain. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, meanwhile, actually, we saw this on Hayfield's side, and Files is also demonstrating kind of the more traditional route of doing Mystery Mire. Normally, when runners come here, they try and activate Spooky and try and skip this hitting the switch to save themselves a little bit more time. Probably people aren't as prepared because they found the fire rod here, and you can't really do Spooky without the fire rod. But I think I also did notice Files and counter and anti-fairy, so I think it also cancels out Spooky. So unfortunately, we're not going to see some cool tech today, but both these runners getting through the basement relatively quickly.
Yeah. Files gonna pull up Burnout. With Master Sword, he can use actual swings here. But he's gonna start with some spins and damage boost.
Yeah, you can sadly see that Files has that Cane of Burna here, ready for backup.
Files is mercifully using a quarter beep, so we don't have to worry about hearing those beeps too often.
Alright, looks like we had our nice magic bat check, giving us a little bit more health. I'm sure these runners would have appreciated that before they ended up diving these Dark World bosses. But certainly it's not going to be anything that Hayfield is going to turn down.
Yeah, with Meyer done for Files, he'll probably go do the same thing Hayfield did and finish off Landmola's.
He's probably feeling a little bit more confident having that Master Sword and Fire Rod than the original King of Samaria that he had earlier.
Yep.
Files. I guess he was thinking about something.
I feel like he's saying, "What do you want me to do, Seed?"
Yeah, sometimes, you know, it's really good to see, you know, these runners' reactions, but sometimes I really just want to hear their actual, like, mic and audio. It may not always be PG, I understand, but it's always kind of good to see what the runners are thinking you know, at this time.
And now we're seeing Hayfield go into Skullwoods. I believe there's one item in the back, plus green pendant, so if it's not here, he can grab the green pendant and then go to pod and turn that in while he's there. And Files forgot he already did that.
Yeah, you could definitely see some muscle memory kicking in here. Wow, really beautiful landmo fight, actually, just like Hayfield did earlier. Making some great progress.
Yeah,
Files picking up his 3rd crystal.
Yeah, these runners are basically tied now. Hayfield's got a few extra checks on Files, but beyond that, it's now a hammer race. Whoever finds the hammer first gets the advantage.
Yeah, not only is, as you said, this looks like it's going to be hammer go mode, the hammer is also a really nice weapon that they can use. Hammer does tempered sword damage, which is, at least from Hayfield's perspective, a 2-sword upgrade.
Well, actually, Chad does point out, yeah, Files does have the pod checks over Hayfield. Files is going to do hammerless ice.
Okay, good luck, Files. I hope this is the right decision out of the bad ones you've had to make.
So I will say, Files told me after our race on Saturday, he made this play, and unfortunately, this ended up costing him the race. Oh, okay. Hayfield almost got grabbed there.
All right, so therefore, because it almost cost him the race the first time, the logical fallacy says that it won't cost him the race this time, right?
I guess so. But at this point, I mean, all your options really aren't that good. What you choose a pendant dungeon or dive a crystal, that you have to dive anyway. Yeah, basically what Chad said. They're all bad choices. Just choose what bad choice you want to do.
Alright, first chest in the Ice Palace. Files is $20 richer. Oh wow, meanwhile, Hayfield taking down Mothula. Mothula dropping the silver arrow. That is going to be a really nice weapon.
That is not insignificant. Because Files may never do Skull Woods. And if he never does, that's an advantage that Hayfield will have over Files.
Yeah, and just looking at the tracker, the bosses that we haven't actually beaten yet, Crystal, Armos, Helmasaur, I guess they've already beaten Vitreous, but any type of stuff in GT, those silver arrows are going to pay dividends for Hayfield.
I don't know why Files is doing this, because the hammer can't be here. And that's the only item he needs.
I guess Ice Palace is a crystal. And, you know, so if he's interested in full clearing this, certainly it's still going to be progression. And maybe he'll find another, you know, nice goodie of quality of life. Or maybe, like, there's a sword in here.
Yeah, they can't get to that chest. And he's going to get blocked here if this isn't a key. Well, it's a key, but it's not a key he can use. And he can't go any further this way. I think he's realizing he just locked himself. He's got a mirror.
Alright, yeah, Files is thinking. He's thinking, how am I going to get out of this Ice Palace?
He can't. This is a one-way door in this next room.
Alright, looks like meanwhile Hayfield here he's gonna pay a visit to our friendly fish in the Dark World. Just already gearing up for the fact that Catfish is gonna be giving us disappointment instead of progression. Never mind! Hayfield is running straight back to that Catfish. Holy cow! Alright. It sounds like then at 1 hour and change, Hayfield is officially in go mode with that hammer pickup from Catfish. Wow.
Yep, that is go mode.
Oh my gosh, that's quite amazing. Hayfield using some nice game knowledge there, mirroring out, taking the portal here straight, and he's gonna go straight to Ice Palace. Gonna give Files here a high five, but with a hammer as a significant advantage, Hayfield's going to have a much easier time in this dungeon.
So actually, Chat does point out that's not quite go mode for Hayfield. He does need a sword. And
okay. So he's in. Yeah.
But the thing is, there is a sword in Pod, but the big key in Pod is in the front. So Hayfield may not go to the back of Pod.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what he does at this point in terms of sword. Item gets. He'll probably get some of the easier ones, or maybe he'll just still full clear the dungeon. Yeah, because he has a lot of dungeons left to do, and he has all of GT, so the chance of him picking up a sword along the way is actually, maybe from his perspective, is actually pretty good.
Yeah. We'll have to see. Well, Files is finishing up. I think he's got 2 more chests he can check in here, and then he's going to realize it's not here. And the question will be, what does he do next? The thing is, that Catfish is a tough check for him to get to at this point. Especially where the hammer is. That is a really, really bad spot for the hammer, because you have to go from the Kakariko portal and run all the way to Catfish. I mean, you can flip her, so it's not as bad, but...
Oh, good. Alright, so I think that was the second item that we saw out of Ice Palace here, which is the shovel. That I'm sure Files is going to be more than happy to go check that one out. It's going to pull him even further away from Catfish. Yeah, and as you said earlier, JP, getting to Catfish without the hammer is probably one of the most inconvenient checks that they had. I mean, in fact, Hayfield kind of really only went there because he decided to do Pendant Skull Woods, right? So he's kind of already up in the northern Dark World area.
Yeah, he basically went from Pendant Skull Woods to Catfish, and then from there he went to yeah, he went to Catfish. I think his plan was to go to Pod after that. So it just worked out for him.
Really kudos to Hayfield, though, basically being on the entire seat for only fighter sort. Alright, so it looks like on file side we found all 3 items here in ice. Unfortunately, the only thing that we have potential for is that shovel. Files without the hammer cannot be Cold Stare, as Hayfield's demonstrating right here, so he will need to go somewhere else. Is this a pendant swamp dive? Oh, he's gonna check the shovel out immediately. Good. Well, hopefully good. Alright, meanwhile, Hayfield here, trying to take down Cold Stare with that fire rod. Really nice. Thank you, Half Magic.
Oh, okay.
Alright, so that is a really nice dig up prize there for Files. Tempered Sword. Alright, so right now currently Files has a 2-sword advantage over Hayfield. Yeah, so it looks like according to our tracker, Hayfield did pick up the shovel, so I don't know if he's gonna actually go dig it up, but if he does, he will be very handsomely rewarded.
If he does, but at this point with Hayfield in go mode, potentially, minus a sword, no. This makes the situation for Hayfield really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that 4th sword? Because if he doesn't find the sword in Pod, it's going to come down to that 4th sword. There is still a scenario where Files can catch up.
Yeah, so so we did see him full clear, or at least get most of the comedian items out of Ice Palace. Most likely he'll also do the same thing in Pod. As you said, if my understanding from you is if the sword is kind of not in the way, he may not get it. But maybe he'll hope that he can still find a sword later on, right? In the later dungeons, Turtle Rock. Oh, nice green pendant turn in there. I totally forgot about that. Or even GT, right? So if he can find the sword there, then he's good. Otherwise, yeah, he is going to have to spend some extra time after clearing everything else, kind of try to go back and find that sword.
Yeah, it really is gonna come down to where that 4th sword is. If the 4th sword's in GT and it's on his way, then Hayfield's in good shape. But let's say that 4th sword ends up in Swamp or the back of Thieves Town.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, because we've seen both swords so far on Files aside. The back of Pod doesn't sound too attractive. Maybe he'll go dig up the shovel. That's at least somewhat convenient. Oh man, Files, please. Alright, I'm glad he didn't get well mastered there. Yeah, but I'm hoping that at least, Hayfield could certainly have quite a bit of hard time trying to find that last sword for him.
Someone in chat saying he'll make the shovel check first after GT. Maybe? You sometimes just forget that shovel exists.
That is certainly not the first occurrence for people, for sure. Especially when you get the shovel after the flute. Especially even if you pull up your menu time, like it's it's always hidden, right? Meanwhile, Files has a significantly easier time with Mothula compared to Hayfield, with the Temper Sword compared to the Fighter Sword. He's gonna pick up his silver arrows and his green pendant.
Now, for Hayfield, he's gonna jump down. The big key's in the chest down here. He'll then have to do the right side to get more keys. After that, I think he'll just probably charge for Helmasaur. Files is not going to keep his portal. He's just going to flute over and turn the green pendant in.
See, Files, I like this. So normally, if you want to go to Eastern Palace, you would flute to 5. Looks like he wants to flute to 4 and run over here first. Initially thought maybe he wanted to go to Palace Darkness.
This is actually slightly faster, I think, going to 4 if you're going to Saharsala. Well, yeah, chat makes a good point. Files does still have an item in Eastern, so he's going to go for Eastern now. Now, here's a moment for Hayfield. What does he do? He's going straight to Helmasaur. So, I'm actually starting to see a little bit of expression from Hayfield now. Yeah, now it really does come down to the fourth sword. But still, he's got a pretty big lead over Files, who needs to go to Catfish to get his hammer. I know Files is hoping... Well, I don't know if he wants to be here or not, but it's not going to be here. Chat talking about a little bit of pod logic here. So, pod logic means there's always 4 keys in the front. Because Hayfield had gotten 2 non-keys in the front, he would have known everything else is keys. Hayfield's taking on Helmasaur King. Gonna pull out those silver arrows to finish it off.
Yeah, really nice benefit here from being able to pick this up earlier. Because fighting Helmasaur on Fighter Sword is really not pleasant.
There's a bug net, which some would consider as good as a sword.
It's certainly good as a sword for Aghanim. If only we just had the rest of the bosses be Agas.
But that's Hayfield's 5th crystal. He's going to mirror and do Eastern for his 6th. Files picks up his 4th. Right now for Files, he needs to go to Catfish. But it's so out of the way. Will he do it? Well, he's going back to 3.
Yeah, so this is a promising sign.
Does he go to Thieves Town or does he take the north route? He hasn't checked Graveyard Ledge yet. Graveyard Ledge would be his best opportunity to route in Catfish as well. Nope, Thieves Town.
Looks like
or nope.
Smith Chain?
He's done Smith Chain.
Oh, okay. Then where are we off to, Files?
Is he going to check the first chest of Swamp?
He has the mirror out. Alright, so it looks like I see Ari pointing out potentially he hasn't checked Bombo's tablet?
Oh yeah, he hasn't checked Bombos as well. That's a good point.
Oh, it looks like he's going to Swamp first. Alright, Pendant Swamp. Here we go for hopefully some... I'm not even sure what Files wants at this point because he already has silver arrows and a tempered sword. I guess this will be more knowledge for us if there's a 4th sword in here.
If the 4th sword ends up in this first chest of Swamp, that's actually good for Files.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he may not realize that, but yes, that 4th sword location would be really inconvenient for Hayfield.
Hayfield, meanwhile, has his 6th crystal. He just has Turtle Rock left.
Alright, unfortunately still with that hammer, as I think we kind of alluded to earlier, Files can't make any more progress, but if this is something, which is money, Files. Alright, looks like Hayfield with his looking for his last crystal is gonna head up the mountain. I'm glad he didn't get Dead Rock there. Getting through probably one of the hardest Death Mountain screens there because of all the dead rocks and the boulders, but he gets it through alright.
Got a Bombos tablet check. He's hard. He's thinking. I'm about to say, he's not doing Catfish. He just keeps putting it off.
I mean, you know, to Files and, you know, Hayfield's defense, Catfish is probably one of the worst spots to go chat, right, without the hammer. You know, there's probably a reason why they put it off for an hour and more. And really, I think also looks like some chat is also pointing out Catfish is so out of the way just from one location, and there are other more item dense locations, such as what we see Files doing right now is checking out the back of East Town.
Yeah. Though, I mean, Files doesn't know this, obviously, but he has Graveyard Ledge he hasn't checked. If he does Graveyard Ledge, that gives him a mushroom. Gives him a reason to go to the witches' huts, which then gives you a good reason to go to Catfish.
Oh, Graveyard Ledge has the mushroom. I'm sure Files will be really thrilled to see that if he ever goes there.
But unfortunately, we know he won't find anything in Thieves Town. Though, once again, if he finds that fourth sword, it gives him at least a chance.
Yeah, certainly we're going to be paying attention here on Hayfield's side, because if the fourth sword here is in Turtle Rock, then that is really not good news for Files.
Yeah, if the fourth sword's in Turtle Rock, it's game for Hayfield. It's his game to lose. It might already be Hayfield's game to lose regardless, but...
Alright, looks like we saw one item so far here in Turtle Rock, just 3 bombs. I certainly hope that Hayfield is well practiced in his hammer try next fight.
Yeah, most of these runners are pretty good, well practiced. The only problem with being on Fighter Sword is you can't use anything. Well, you can do Master Sword spins.
Yeah, so if he finds a sword before Tridex, he at least has a little bit more buffer, but yeah, otherwise he's probably just going to be stuck on Fighter Sword for quite some time. Alright, really like the use of the hook shot here on Files' side, being able to hook to every lock there, save himself a little bit more movement.
But for what it's worth, the small key locked itself today.
Yeah, that's good. That's actually really good for Files, because that means the less time he's spending doing not Catfish is the more time he can use further to go to Catfish.
And I don't think Hayfield got the big key yet, so he's going for that.
Big key, as you said. Hey, we found it in Lava Chest or the vanilla location. Our Files here taking on blind here between the first 2 runners, staying very well on script. Almost on script for the last hit. It looks like I got away from a little bit. But that fire shot also did help him out in terms of deflecting some of the fireballs. Of note, actually, Files is the only one between our 2 runners that actually still has his fire shield. I noticed that when Hayfield was in Skull Woods, one of the pickets actually ninjally stole his shield from him, so I don't know if that'll end up making a difference, but yeah. That is just in case you were wondering why Hayfield doesn't have a shield anymore.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Files is basically out of checks.
Alright, looks like this is our North Dark World loop. Files is finally going to the right direction that we were all hoping that he would go to. Alright,
well,
yeah.
Hayfield skipped Mimic Cave, so there's another spot that sword could end up being in.
He really does skip him. I guess he must have. Because he's already all the way out here. I'm trying to piece together what Files is saying, on camera, but I'm not as good as lip reading as I probably should be.
Unfortunately, though, for Files, it looks like we've basically exhausted all the spots that another sword could be that could help him. So it's looking more and more likely there's a second sword on Hayfield's routes.
Wouldn't it be funny if the fourth sword was a Mimic Cave? I'm sure Hayfield would have a really great sense of humor about that. I think Files was trying to set up a bush mirror bot in order to try and get to the light world to turn in the mushroom faster, but had a slight execution mishap.
All right, so unless it's on Helmasaur, Trinex, there's no sword in TR.
Did Hayfield end up skipping the last? Sorry, I looked away for a sec. The small key was in the third chest or the last chest?
He got all 4 chests on Lake Ridge. I think it was in the second.
Okay, all right. Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure he, like, if he was on the third one or something, he just left the chest. If he got the fourth one, then yeah, his chances are here on Trident himself, as you said, or along his path in GT. If he doesn't have a sword, I wouldn't be terribly surprised if he decides to full clear the basement anyway, because, you know, he's just right there. Alright, you're looking for Files. He has accepted his fate that Catfish has the hammer. All more Files. Meanwhile, as you said, Hayfield is pretty dang practiced at this hammer Trinex fight. Very fast-paced one, no ice on the floor is always a good sign, and he's going to use that hammer to pound down Trinex in phase 2. Really nicely done.
So it was not on Trinex. So now it's time.
You know, the good news for Files, at least, is he has the hammer, he has a definite go mode, and he has Temper Sword and Silvers. His Crystal dungeon clears are going to be very, very fast compared to Hayfield's. Oh man, I see numbers flying in chat already. JP, do you know anything about this?
Yep, 22 chests in Ganon's Tower. Where do you think the GT Big Key will be? Get your guesses in chats. But there's also a second item we're looking for. Where is Files' second sword? Or not Files' second sword.
Files would be more than happy to find fourth sword. It'll help him speed up probably the rest of his crystal dungeon clears. But maybe Hayfield would appreciate that more. Alright, get your guesses in quickly because it's gonna close right now on Hayfield's side. Looks like he is going to opt to do Hope Room first. Most likely this is going to be check the first 2 chests in Hope Room. The reason why it's called Hope Room is because you hope the big key is here. Oh my god! Alright, so that was really fast. So for those of you who guessed 1, you win internet points today because that was the first chest that Hayfield ended up checking. Yep. No small key means that he can't, he still needs one, so he's going to go to the right side, the left side here. But I am curious if he decides to go further because, as you see, we don't have a sword yet.
That is actually really good news for Files because he can grab that and go straight upstairs. Now is the time where Hayfield begins to lose time. However long it takes him to get his second sword.
Yeah, being in sword go mode or sword question mark mode is always really tough because if you're in item go mode, right, you know you're just gonna full clear everything, right, without worry until you go find it, right? But if you're in sword go mode, it's like, do I full clear this dungeon? Do I keep going? Like, how much time am I gonna bleed? Do you think it'll just be right on the way? There's a lot more uncertainty involved.
So just as a reminder, we know there's a sword in the back of Pod that Hayfield skipped. There's a tempered sword. I actually can't remember where the tempered sword is. Do you remember that?
The tempered sword was in our dig spot today.
That's right. Dig spot was tempered.
Which Hayfield does have because he did end up going to Ice Palace. But he has to remember that he has it.
So it's just a question of the fourth sword.
I mean, I certainly do think this further exploration of GT Basement is really, really reasonable for Hayfield, right? There are 22 items in the basement. 21 potential places for a sword. Especially, you know, he gets to check Stoffless Room, he gets to check Random Room, which is here. You know, they're very itemless locations.
Yeah, and we've basically cleared about everything else. There's not much else. There's not many other places it can be.
Yeah, I think I saw chat end up pointing out that there could be the rest of Swamp. Because Files didn't have the hammer, he still tried to do the first chest, or the first non-key chest, because he was locked out with the hammer. So it could still be there.
That is right. Swamp is definitely in play. Hayfield is not checking the big chest first. He's going to go down to Armos first.
Yeah, there are 3 chests here behind Armos Nice. I mean, there are some really nice item dislocations, or item dense rooms in GT. And of course, with silver arrows, right, this should be a relatively fast fight.
Yeah.
Fight, if you want to call it that, because Armos Nice is going to get slaughtered here with the silver arrows. What a nice Armos fight there. On ice, no less.
Hearts, 10 arrows. Money. We're still looking.
Alright, yeah, meanwhile, Files in Ice Palace the second time around with the hammer. He can pick up... Well, he doesn't even need this key at this point. He can just go straight to a cold stare. Alright, is there going to be 4 sword here in the big chest of GT? Aww. It's so infrequent that you get to see the big chest of GT being open, so it's really hopeful that it always has something, but it's like more often than not, it's just 20 rupees.
So we've got 5 chests in the basement, 4 chests upstairs. And he's going to do tile room first.
This is actually somewhat interesting. I did not actually expect Hayfield to do tile room first, but maybe if it just works out to his GT routing. Looks like, according to our trackers, neither runner has the cape, so Hayfield is going to just take his time and do a little dance to avoid the tiles. There's a little fun trick that you can do is if you could activate the cape and then hold onto the wall, you actually can be invincible but not drain any magic.
Just a key.
It's like a vanilla key there. Files taking down Cold Stare extremely quickly. Looks like he's Bombos and Fire Rod taking his next crystal. He is making very steady progress towards completion of this game.
So Files is
Files, go! Files, go!
I don't know if we could. Whatever. All right, more chests for Hayfield. 3 more in the basements.
All right, more money.
Not
more
in the
health.
basements of GT.
Wow.
He's got 4 chests on the climb. So at this point for Hayfield, he's at least doing stuff that he needs to do now. He has to do the climb regardless, but now it's just a matter, is there a sword upstairs?
Also, being on just Fighter Sword, the Gauntlet climb is also... I mean, the Gauntlet climb already is pretty difficult. Being on Fighter Sword is even more difficult. A lot of people, when they run no major glitches or some more vanilla categories for Link to the Past, by this time, you see runners have Tempered Sword. If you are looking for a demonstration of what a difference of Fighter Sword versus Tempered Sword is in the Gauntlet, I'm sure we're going to get a demonstration.
Yeah, this is going to come down to, does Hayfield find the sword at the top? If you're a fan of Files, you don't want a sword up top.
Alright, chat is helpfully pointing out here that Hayfield does actually have some nice benefits, which is the Fire Rod and Half Magic. It certainly does make his climb a little bit faster.
Yeah, with Fire Rod...
Be careful.
With Fire Rod, the Gauntlet's not as bad, though he's almost out of magic. He's got to be a little... Yeah, he's got to be careful with that. Because he does need some magic in this next part.
Yeah, he certainly seems to be, at least for the most part, keeping track pretty well of resource management. Oh, wow. Really nice there. Lambo fight. I think yeah, I mean, the timing for these silver arrows can cause quite a bit of lag. I'm really glad to see that he was able to pull it off.
Okay, chat does confirm he does have blue potions if needed.
Okay, I did see him use a green one earlier, but oh, what a really nice, fortunate full magic drop there. Alright, looks like he should be fine for the rest of the gauntlet.
Yeah, he's in good shape now.
Yeah, we can see actually one of the reasons why we want magic to use the Cane of Samaria in these two rooms with the Wiz Robes. Very satisfying if you know exactly where to place a Samaria block. Yeah, and with that full magic drop, he can use Fire Rod here instead of the lamp in order to save this, so he doesn't have to conserve magic anymore.
All right. Next torch room, he's got to light the 4 torches. He'll have to grab a small key in the next room. And then it's a matter of the last 4 chests. Heart container.
Right,
heart container.
more health. Yeah, at this point, since Hayfield has the red mail, he's probably not really looking forward to more health. Although he is a little low at this point, he probably wouldn't complain. But he would much rather see a sword at this point than more heart containers.
That was a small key. 1 chest remains.
Alright, we're gonna see some Hammer Moldorm strats here. All the magic and Fire Rod and Ice Rod or whatever. Silver arrows won't help you against Moldorm. Just 1 more hit? Really nice. Oh, very cooperative Moldorm as well.
Alright. Is it this chest? He's got the map and compass, so it's something. No!
Oh, alright. You can see the head shake of approval by Hayfield there, and seeing his utter satisfaction of finding 20 rupees in the validation chest.
So now it is a matter of how fast Hayfield finds a sword. We know of 2. 1 at the dig spots, and the 1 in the back of pod.
Alright, looks like Hayfield is starting, or trying to do some Agatu fight cycles here. Not actually sure quite how many he's hit so far, but these patterns have not super been friendly either. And meanwhile, Files is making very steady progress. Alright, and through Turtle Rock. I mean, he is, very quickly gaining on time on Hayfield here.
File still has to finish up Turtle Rock and do the gauntlets. So Hayfield still has time.
Oh yes, certainly it's undeniable that Hayfield still has a pretty good margin over Files, but Files is closing that gap very steadily. And one of the big, probably time sinks for Hayfield is that he ended up clearing out the entire GT basement, right? And because the GT big key is just in the first chest of Hope Room, Files doesn't have to do any of the basement.
Where is he going? He's not going to the shovel spot.
Oh, is this a swamp dive?
This might be a swamp dive.
Yeah, I mean, swamp does have 6 items. This, every other location. Oh no, maybe he's not going to swamp? Okay.
Pyramid Fairy. He's going to do Pyramid Fairy.
Okay, alright, this is good too. Well, hopefully this is good, because this is that list of location we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, Pyramid Fairy makes a lot of sense here. If it's at Pyramid Fairy, then he goes right up and he's at Ganon.
Yeah, also employs a really nice movement tech there. You can actually, if you get hit by an enemy, you can actually, during those items, you can dash a little bit faster. But meanwhile, whereas you can't normally dash with a bomb. Alright, meanwhile, Files here is on his Trinex fight with Temper Sword versus the Hammer. This should be a lot nicer. 5 hits to each head.
Right.
Quick swapping over there, yeah, from the Ice Rod to the Fire Rod, really nice. Alright, unfortunately on Hayfield's side, no sword yet. Where is he off to next?
Starting at Link's house. What's he pulling out? He's got
flute? This is the bit of this. Okay, all right, back to Hammer.
Files has his 7th crystal.
All right, this looks like our potential swamp dive here. Want to do Pyramid Fairy first? And we are going in.
He's not checking Bombos, which we know is nothing. So, if it's in Swamp, Hayfield's still fine. If Hayfield full clear Swamp and doesn't find it, Files might have the lead at that point.
Yeah, this is certainly true. As you said, Files is going to find the big key lickety split, and then it really right now is just a gauntlet. It's just a gauntlet clear between these runners.
Both runners have silvers, but it will be Master Sword versus Tempered at best. Files is not going right. He's starting left.
Files. All right, so this is, I think, another very popular variation of GT routing is that you go all the way to Stalfus room, and then you go to right side, because this guarantees you to have a small key. So Files would make a few more checks here in this room, but he won't be too much farther behind.
Yeah, assuming he mirrors right after this, he'll be fine. If he goes full left, though, then that's a problem.
I have not seen Files go full left, certainly as of recent, but of course, you know, past performance does not indicate future occurrences. It looks like he's pulling out his mirror, and he'll pick up his Hope Room key right near. Alright, there's the big key for Files. I'm sure he is utterly regretting his life choices for going to the right side first. Alright, he's going to start his climb here with Temper Sword, Silver Arrows, Fire Rod, Half Magic, Sword Beams initially, not anymore. Yeah, he should be good to go. Alright, next chest up here for HayfieldBay is going to be 3 more bombs. I think he was even at capacity, so it's not even going to do any good for him. Alright, looks like we're going to skip left side for now.
This makes more sense. There's faster checks back here.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's probably just a Hayfield's benefit to do as many items per second or per time that you can. Left side swamp, even though it does have 2 potential items, is quite the time commitment. Especially
there it is.
Oh, all right, Hayfield. All right, we have a race on our hands. Hayfield's find the 4th sword in swamp because, of course, where else would it be?
I'd still say this is Hayfield's race to lose.
He has a good, still good margin. So he still needs to go up to. Oh, he needs to do Ganon fight, but he's doing Master Sword Silvers. Master Sword Ganon fight is really not. It's quite tedious and easy to mess up. Has gotten the better of many, many good runners. So hopefully that won't come to Hayfield's fate today, but he still has the race is not over quite yet.
Yeah, as long as this is a clean fight for Hayfield, it's his race.
Yeah, I think as you pointed out, JP earlier, he does have potions, so that'll certainly be a nice buffer for him. Alright, meanwhile, Files here are making very steady progress up the gauntlet. Almost a Molten too.
Just a reminder what's on the line here. Winner of this race is guaranteed another race, either a tiebreaker or a brackets. The loser's not out, but they have to win their last race to force a tiebreaker in the group.
Okay, yeah. So I knew that Files was 1-1 at this point. Is that the same? Is that the same for?
Yep.
Okay.
Here's the group basically. Ninban at 2 and 2. Everybody else is 1 and 1.
All right. Oh, so Nimban was the overachiever and finished all his races early? I got it.
Yep.
Alright, looks like Hayfield is pulling out that Cane of Burna to make sure that he doesn't die, which is very, very important on Master Sword Ganon. It looks like he's at least past the first 2 phases, which is the most dangerous.
Oh, Files!
No, Files! Oh, Moldor behaved for Hayfield, but unfortunately it got the better of Files here and knocked him down.
One more spin for Hayfield. If Ganon will stop teleporting. Now it's 4 silver arrows.
Yeah, managed to get a silver arrow in there before the torches went out, which is always really nice.
Just 3 more. That's the second shot.
Because he definitely Hayfield's being a little bit more careful here. He knows that he, is very, very close. If you lose focus now, it could be quite detrimental. Just gonna make sure that he gets the silver arrow shots in. Oh my gosh! Okay, he didn't fall. That's good. Alright, last silver arrow for Hayfield. Almost!
missed.
Oh wow, jeez. Wow, meanwhile, I think Files must have had a really good Agatu fight. I'm sorry for not paying attention, Files. He is ready to go face Ganon. Oh my gosh. Fire Bat, no!
There it is.
Last silver arrows for Hayfield. What a roller coaster here for phase 4 on Hayfield's side. Holy cow. Alright, he just needs to get through this fanfare, cross this 1x3 bridge, and then he will be the first place winner of our race here today between Files and Hayfield. Get your GG's out in chat for Hayfield.
And the official time for Hayfield is 1:39:42. I think we're gonna let Files finish up his fight here. Unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna get interviews because we have to get to our next race on the SpeedGaming Live. I'll check with our setup helpers here to be sure.
Yeah.
Nope, Rick pretty much says it. Yeah. So as soon as Files is done, we will be going to our next race.
Alright, looks like, one of the nice things about having a webcam on these runners before Hayfield decides to get up from his couch is that you get to see a really nice smile on Hayfield's face. I think he's feeling pretty good about this win.
Just to give us a quick update on what's next, we have a Castlevania race between Cantaloupe Me and 2 Sneck. That'll be taking place on this channel, right following this immediately.
Yeah, this was a phenomenal race to watch, actually. I mean, given just how this race ended up playing out, it was basically just a Temperate Sword Ganon fight between these 2 runners at the very end. Came down to how fast could Hayfield find the last. Alright. Files has finished Ganon up. Very, very nicely done for all 4 phases. Get your GG's out in chat.
Still a piece of garbage.
4 Files. Well done to both these runners. This was a phenomenal race to watch.
Files official time 1:41:19. We do have to, like I said, we have to sign off here because we have to get ready for our next race. So make sure to give our runners a follow. They put on a good race for us today. Hayfield advances to 2 and 1. We'll guarantee at least a tiebreaker. Files falls to 1 and 2. Still alive though. Yeah, thanks to our runners. Make sure to give them a follow. Thanks to our tracker, Totes Olive. And thanks to Clear Mouse for joining me here on commentary.
Yeah, no, thanks JP. It was a great race. And GG's to Files and Hayfield. You guys did a phenomenal job. Really, really fun to watch.
Yeah, all right, I think we will have to step out. So yeah, stay tuned everyone for Castlevania coming up next.